Hello everyone, me again, Patrick, Mind That Matters. Bit windy outside. It has been raining a lot. It's just windy now. Anyway, I hope I find you all well, wherever you may be. And again, thank you all for watching, those of you who do watch. Very much appreciated. Now, what might I be doing this fine Sunday, you ask? Well, look at you. I did promise a little talk on part of the alphabet soup of nomenclature that affects me. And my particular little edge of madness, to which we all cling, is called EUPD. It used to be called BPD. They didn't think they were using enough letters, so they said, we want to remedy that. So EUPD, before it became, when it was BPD, meant that it was called borderline personality disorder. Now, having a personality disorder is bad enough. But when somebody tells you that it's borderline, you think, well, hang on a second. I don't recall having sat on any borders lately, not even herbaceous ones. It's far too early in the year to see them. So how is it borderline? Upon what does it border? Can I play with madness, one side or the other? Which was a good song, by the way. Can I play with madness? There we go. So then they decided, because that wasn't clear enough, that they would call it something else. So they went for EUPD. Now you can figure out the last two letters for yourself, but I bet you can't figure out the first two. All entries on a €100 note to be sent to me, please, by first post tomorrow. That's the end of the talk. Who sent their €100? Come on. What it means is that they had to make it more, I don't know, was it more acceptable? Or more user-friendly? I don't know. And to be honest, it was even changed. I don't know. Don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. And I'm just going it all over it in my mind. They changed it from borderline to emotionally unstable, which describes it a lot better. It will make more sense as I go on. I describe, what's involved. I think that's a lot more specific. They didn't need to do it. They, by they, I mean the medical profession. So you'll often hear somebody speak of they, them, usually involving conspiracy nutcases. They made me do it. I refer to they, them from now on. It will be the medical profession. So it was an effort to make it more understandable. And in a way it has. I still don't know what the borderline was when you hear it under these new terms, which is emotionally unstable, which you'll see. Bear with me. Just a moment. I know, I know. We shouldn't use props. Never work with children and animals. Assistant. Anyway, this is such frivolity. EUPD is based on a certain number of criteria, and I don't have these memorized. Some of them, the star parts, I know those. So when you get down to the bottom of, you get beyond the first 3 or 4 people in the film, who cares? You may come across them later on. They may disappear from movies. There you go. So, the first thing I'd say about it is that depression figures in EUPD, but it is far from being its main constituent. And yes, there may also be elements of bipolar disorder, but that in no way characterizes it or defines it. In no way. No way. You may already have a predisposition to depression. What's happening elsewhere is happening separately. They may happen at the same time, and that doesn't help. It really doesn't. It makes it sometimes very difficult for a mental health professional to be able to arrive at a diagnosis or to be able to arrive at treatment. Because you'll see, this goes on. Now, I did think I was bipolar. I knew I'd suffered from depression for a very long time. Now, I have said in previous videos that from about the age of 15. But I think it actually started, my condition is deep-seated, as I've told you, from very early childhood trauma. But then the onset of depression and all that makes me such a wonderful and happy person probably started about 9 or 10. Now that I give it some more thought. And so I'll go through the main points of having emotionally unstable personality disorder. I love saying it. It just sounds, if I didn't have it, I might even try and go out and get it. No. Yeah, I wouldn't. No. Thanks. Don't try. Don't try to have all of these and say, no. Get your own illness. No, don't do that either. No, don't. Don't. It's fine. You're grand. Deal with the one you have. The first thing that comes up, and this is most deep-seated, is fear of abandonment. And it's awful. I can't put it in any other way. Because it happens repeatedly. Of what? I can't tell you what. I can. It's just my mother going so early. I mean, going physically. She has passed away, but that came later. I found that out later on. But it's a behaviour where you become dependent upon people. It's not that, but your behaviour becomes dependent upon people. It's not you show weakness. You show an inability to show certain types of strength in your character. It's the way I understand it. But it's not a very nice characteristic. By the way, this list I'm about to continue reading to you, if you have 5 of these, now I'm not saying, pick any 5. What I'm saying is, if you feel terrible, if you feel that it may in some way describe you, this is not a clinical therapy here. This is a list which comes from the Mind organization. I want to put their details in the link, at least their website. They're a UK organization, but they are known to be good people to get in touch with. I picked them because it's in the middle of most things that I talk about geographically between Ireland and France, where I am. But they are known for the excellence of their work. I'm sure in Ireland there are. It's just I haven't looked. This is the one that I read and I find to be very good for me. It helped me to, once I've been diagnosed, to look at it and say, okay, it's this and this and this. You suffer from what I do, very intense emotions that can last from hours to days, and this is true, very true. I've spoken to you before in a previous video, talk, and I felt that being described as moody just made me even angrier. In my case, anger is one, my condition, if you like. It's not just a prison, it's a blowtorch to a can of petrol. And it would make me intensely angry, and it would put me into rage, the simplest of things. Certainly pointing out my character flaws, you can imagine how well that went. But it would happen and continues to happen to a lesser degree now. I don't think it's because I know how to keep it in check, but I perhaps feel it a little bit less. Because it's become more corpulent. I think there's more stuff for the rage to have to fight through. So don't afraid to be fat, huh? Fight the rage. And like I said, they can from hours to days. You end up stewing for days. And you go and see the other person, you think, well, that person's going to be as annoyed as I am. And you meet them and you just go, oh yeah, how's things? You're thinking, you're supposed to be angry as well. We had an argument. And they're not. And that's even worse. You think, well, why did I waste all that time? I'm never doing that again. Of course, a few days later, you're back to type. Because you're so easy to push over the edge. And people know that. There's also not having a strong sense of who you are. It changes. Yeah. And it's you think constantly about who you are, about what you're worth. Are you worth less? Are you worth something? Are you worth anything? Believe me, this fuels my rage. It used to. It still does to an extent. And it's how it makes you feel. It makes you feel less. This feeds into something else. It's difficulty keeping and making stable relationships. Now, that for me is probably weak-ish in that I have strong relationships with some people, but I can also leave those relationships for time, and not think about them because I think something has been slighted or something has gone wrong. When in fact, there's nothing. It's all in my head, and it's not through lack of trust, even though that is it, but you think it isn't, and you're willing to forget that. Being unable to build those relationships, that can be a bar to life, because to get on in life you need to be able to build relationships. And I've made a habit of not getting on a knife. Believe me, I have. Many of you will have done this too. And say, well, I don't believe that I need this. I don't believe that I need that. I don't believe I need to do this. I don't believe I need a job. I don't believe I need to see people. Maybe you don't. Maybe I don't. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. All I can say is that without my ex, I would be in a hell of a lot worse state. But I know that sooner or later, I'm going to have to make some choices that will be good for the rest of my life, however long that may be. If the gods are feeling particularly unkind one day, they may deal quite roughly with me. Find a little corner of non-life and put me in it. Here's probably my favourite one. And it goes back to not having a strong sense of who you are, feeling empty. And for anybody who's had this, you have my complete and utter understanding. It is truly horrible because it happens. For me, probably I have it flashes into my mind every day. Other days it's there, up in lights, top billing. Other days it just makes a brief little guest appearance. And you don't know what to do. Really. You don't. You just think there's no point in going on. That's how much this takes away from you. Imagine that every day. Comes along, knocks on your door, comes in, eats all your food, drinks all your beer, and then heads out the door again. Thanks. But not only that, it comes back for your television and your computers and your DVD players, your carpets. And that just cleans out the house, stairs, and it's a horrible feeling. Feeling empty. I always describe it as being at the world's best banquet. Eating, filling your face to a serious degree, killing yourself almost with the amount of food you're eating, yet feeling nothing. Just going, I'm still hungry. And I felt that so often. Like I say, for those of you who feel this every day, you don't have to have this particular condition, but you will feel it in many other ways. You'll feel empty. And you try to explain that to somebody, unless you've got a very sympathetic ear, they're just going to say, what are you on about? Empty? Come on. It's okay if you say depression, because, oh yeah, I've heard about depression. God, poor people. How'd you get by? And, well, we do, we try. You said somebody feel empty, just say, get a grip in your life. It's not that easy. You can't just wave a magic wand and say, yeah, you're right. Yeah, have a handful of pills. That doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. People forget how pills work. Even the magic pill, the blue one, that only works. And originally this was a heart medicine. Let me believe anyway. It only works if, you're already on the road. You all understand what I'm saying. The next little stop on our journey is acting impulsively. Now, this can be done with the help of the recreational substance of your choice. There is a range available somewhere, not here. No. Drink, shopping, gambling. And there's a part of that behaviour which is quite a dangerous one, which is sexual behaviour. Because people get themselves into all sorts of trouble. They want to try all sorts of things with all sorts of people. And it's a sign of often it's linked to feeling empty. People who feel empty can't handle the world will more frequently, and this is not an ex cathedra, but they will turn to dangerous sexual behaviour more often than turning to drugs, alcohol, or shopping, or whatever. There may be a combination. Sexual activity, yeah. Maybe a bit deviant, who knows? I don't. Never try that. Sex, yes, but the other stuff, no, no, naughty people. Then there's something that never affected me, which is self-harm. But I think I'd consider drinking the amounts of alcohol that I have been known to. Won't say it ever happened, definitely. I would consider that to be self-harm. The sort of self-harm we're on about here is, can be to putting your own hair out, cutting yourself. It's mainly cutting yourself. It's having suicidal feelings. That does. But it doesn't mean to say you're ever going to act upon them. But you think about it because you're trying to place yourself. You're trying to place yourself mentally, temporally, existentially. All these thoughts go through your mind. It's how you place yourself. It's how you deal with you being you. But you're not just you being you, sitting down, standing up, or shouting abuse at somebody because you've had too much to drink. I may have done that. It's a long time ago. It's where you stand in here. It's where you stand in your existence. Do you have an existence? A number of times that I've considered my existence. You don't want to know. You maybe need another lifetime to ponder upon that for long enough. But I have. What happens in here isn't always pretty. And we cannot dismiss it. At some stage, we have to turn towards the wind and deal with what's coming. And then the best one, one of the best ones for us, paranoia or dissociation. You're stressed. Stress is a big thing in all these because there's a lot of anxiety runs through all of these. Now, I'm happy to say, they say if you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bear with me, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you display 5 of these traits, then you're definitely on what they call the spectrum for EUPD. I can happily tell you I have 7 of those. So I'm in the club. There you go. So dissociation? No, not yet. I did have a psychotic episode, which was great fun, let me tell you. 5 minutes, no, I'll be honest, 3 minutes disappeared in seconds. Now, I'm not making that up. It's not to sound dramatic. But it happened about 6 weeks ago. I was sitting where I am now. Yep. And suddenly I was thinking, did that just happen? And what did I do? I'd done nothing. It just happened. This is what your mind can do to you. It's a fun place. So that's a description of EUPD. Now, when I was diagnosed with this, I've known for years something up here Wasn't right, but I'd never had a good diagnosis. What the diagnosis allows you to do, allows you, I've said before, it's very important to be able to take something, look at it, and be honest with it, and say, okay, well, I have you now for a pet, haven't I? What it allows you to do is to be able to look at it, to examine it, learn more about it, and see how you can incorporate that into your life. It takes time, it takes a lot of time. Sometimes you don't want to put that time into it, into making it better. We need help. Of course we do. We must seek that help. Now, I hope this helps all of you, even if you don't have my particular flavour of mental illness. But I hope it helps you to realise that if you are somehow afflicted, that you think about it, and then you think, well, I need to be able to do this. In order to be able to do this and look at it, you need to know what it is. That's, I would say, the greatest value of knowing, because it's not something you can go and tell somebody. I'm a psychotic schizophrenic. You don't want to be telling people that. You want to be telling people, yeah, I'm not too good in the old head. Um, I'm getting better. Or, I've got EUPD because I got to look at you and go, get the white coat man here, please. This man's not well. You have to measure how you tell people this. But finding out about it is a great thing, because then it becomes apparent. It's always been somewhere, it's been real, but it becomes apparent. You can look at it. Don't be afraid of going and finding out. Don't look at Dr. Google, because I don't think it does you any good. Right, I got this from Mind. It's a respected organisation. I can cross-reference that with 200 others, and they will come out with the same. They might add a few more conditions on, which would be great, because it's always nice to know what's in store for you. But we can't be afraid. Not when the help is there. When I hope it is for you. If not, then find it somewhere, somehow. Don't stay alone. That's the worst place to be. I know. I know how difficult it is for all of you. You have my full support from what it's worth. But I have a little crow to pluck with you. Something we say in Ireland, certainly in my neck of the woods. Means I have a bone to pick with you. We have a problem. You're not subscribing. I've noticed this. You're looking, but not subscribing. Sort it out now, otherwise there will be trouble. Okay? Good. No more talky. Right. I don't have any more to say, I don't think. I've rambled on for long enough. Thank you all, by the way, yet again. Thank you for watching for this long. I will try to make at least one of these per week shorter. My tendency to babble on endlessly. But I like talking to all of you. Seriously, I do. And if you ever want to get in touch, please feel free. Online, offline, call me names, do whatever you like. If it helps you, I will listen to you. I'll talk to you. There you go. Now, before I end, like I said, I don't let this define me. Nobody will allow there. If they have some sort of thing wrong with them, or physically or mentally, they won't. All I said is, it's a help. It's a help knowing what's wrong. If I display a certain type of behaviour, I go, okay, that's that, right. Let's put that back in its box. Let's deal with it when it arises, and then try to work towards keeping all the little goblins in their boxes. There you go. That's how I look at it. That's how I try to do it. I don't always succeed. Anyway, any comments about this? I'd like them, please. Not about it's okay, only if it weren't on your face is unacceptable. I'm just trying it out. To go with this. When this grows back, we'll see how it goes with this. Okay? All comments, please, down below somewhere. Now, I'll leave you to enjoy your Sunday. So, be safe, be healthy, be well. And if you have a god or goddess, go with you. Now, I look forward to speaking to you all on Thursday if my service allows it. Be good and subscribe.